Restream's not fucking with us. Let's see. Should be 5, 4, 3, 2. Done. Let's go. Cool. All right, guys, welcome to the Joyage Kingdom. I'm Cage, your guide. I'll be replacing the voice inside your head for now, giving you a break from the constant internal monologue that is the human mind. I want to say first, thank you for listening or reviewing on whatever platform you're on. If you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, join the kingdom. If you're watching this on Twitter, retweet this or tag people or take photos or something. Tell people that we're here. Right now, I'm joined by the founder of Lazy Lions, co-founder, Ashur. So thanks for coming to the show, brother. It's going to be sick.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah, we got 100%, dude. We got Tickle Rick in the house. Let's fucking go. Absolutely, dude. We're talking about a lot of stuff. We're gonna talk about NFTs, talking about life, talking about philosophy, talk about things we did, triumphs, failures, all the things. But before we start, I don't know too much about you, Ashur, so I'd love to know just kind of the inception of Lazy Lions just before we dive into all the deets.
Yeah, man. I mean, it depends how much you want to know. Like, do you want to know just before?
Well, actually, you know what? I want to know the genesis idea that got the idea of doing the Lions, because there was a multitude of animals you could have chose, because you guys are a super, super OG project. Like one of the, I mean, I feel like it's like Gen 1 or like Gen 1.5, you know?
It's wild how it feels that way, hey, considering, you know, what's been going on with the space. And yeah, it's been over a year now that, man, we actually didn't start with the profile photo collection. So, you know, early 21, I was speaking with my co-founder, Nine, who's actually my cousin. And, we grew up playing, gaming, and, we had a bunch of businesses that we tried, had like varying levels of success with and learned like a ton from. And early 21, we found out about NFTs. And I remember the market size being, I think it was like 100 mil or something it had just done in like February. Wow. And it was like, relative to now, it's like, oh, wow. But like back then it was like, whoa, this is a big shift. Yeah. And we looked into the tech and it just clicked straight away. It's like, okay, so you can finally own digital assets in a proven way without the middleman, right? Which is what the blockchain gives. And then it's like all the benefits of that. And, for myself, I just thought about my gaming days and I'm like, this makes so much sense.
Which games you playing?
Particularly, we played a ton of games, but mainly that one.
Let's go.
Yeah, dude, like we were buying and selling digital assets back then, right? So it clicked straight away, and we're like, okay, we got to jump all into this. So we did, and we started off with gamers, right? Because that's like the logical step for us. I mean, we're already gamers. Let's go talk to them. That's who we are. And man, like no one cared at all, right? Like everyone was just like, nah, I don't know about this NFT thing. Blockchain, that sounds a bit dodgy, right? I don't think I'm going to do that. And I was working as an account manager before that, and doing pretty well. Like I was, crushing it in that role. I had a great time as well. So like part of that involved, obviously a lot of like speaking with people and figuring things out. And I just couldn't do it with the gamers. So I'm like, okay, this is not going to work out. So that failed. But around that time, Bored Apes had released. CryptoPunks were obviously like iconic at that point. And what really caught our attention was how they were able to like build and foster a community around their project. It was pretty cool, right? Like Bored Apes weren't the first ones to do it, but they had done it in like, I think like a bit of a prolific way, especially with like the roadmap and, everything else and like the IP and stuff. So, it clicked for us and we're like, okay, well, like, who are we? And like, what's this project going to be about? And we're like, okay, it has to be about the community, man. Right? Like it's simple as that. That's going to be our core focus, building up that community, because we think that's where the value is, and we still do. I still think that's the end game as well. But and for the Lion itself, I mean, that's just who we are, right? Like that's what we've grown up with. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of community members think the same way, right? Because as soon as we put it out there, we're like, okay, there are a bunch of other lions out there in the world, and that's part of it as well, man. Like Lazy Lions, literally all over the world, and it's so cool to just have everyone come together, with these like shared like values as well. And I guess that's where we are now.
When you guys dropped, was there like anxiety before? Were you like nervous people were gonna take, or were you pretty confident that you're like, yeah, people fuck with these, people are lazy, people are lions, the art's dope, people are gonna buy this?
Man, it was interesting because like yes, a little bit, because I was like, damn, like this lion, like, it's, yeah, sure, it's a, it's a great idea. We weren't the first lions anyways. But yeah, we definitely did have that sense of urgency. But I remember like when we jumped into the Discord, I was like maybe like a day or two in, like the way people were just getting together and like we were connecting with everyone, it really felt like we had something special going on. So, once we saw that, like it gave us a bit of confidence that, okay, like this can really take off. And yeah,
dude, it's been a wild fucking ride, especially because Lazy Lions, largely, I feel like, I was like the person yelling in the corner about this, I feel like, but when all the euphoria of the fall and the summer of last year, everyone was like, I don't even know what it was. They're just screaming nonsense everywhere. And I remember just being like, yo, the only thing here that matters at all is the brand and the IP. And I just thought I was crazy because I was like, there's no one else, like, is this not the answer? And then like Lazy Lions is literally that. Like you guys have one of the strongest brands. I mean, especially in this bear market, there's like a whole lump of projects that are kind of lumped into this like, I don't even know if you call it category, but a lot of them crash to like 0.1, 0.2 in this bear market. People were like, oh my God, like I never thought they would drop this low. And with the Lions, it's interesting, bro. Like every time they come near like a certain number, they just rally and they just run up, and it's freaking wild. Like I've never seen a community run that strong in an OG collection like that. And I don't know, it's been cool as shit. Like, what do you think is the reason for that? You think it's the brand behind the Lazy Lions? Is the people on the team? Do you guys have like certain things you do in Discord that people keep people engaged to like not lose that passion, fiery atmosphere, that you guys can actually hold on to that?
That's a good question. I think it's a couple things, right? Like, sure, we launched early on, but that's because we were looking at it before the hype and hysteria about profile photo collections, right? We were just keen on NFTs. So by the time we were ready to release, it was, coincidentally, it just worked out to be, August, which is the massive run up, right? So good timing, but that you can't be reactive with that, right? You got to be proactive. So that's one part. But I think more importantly is we've built up this culture of, focusing on giving value to the community. And that started from day one, right? Like, obviously there are little things like us being in the Discord, the kings and queens culture that has developed, but even things like rewards, right? Which was something that I think was hugely successful, was innovative as well. And it just gave that, from the community feedback, everybody appreciated that because it was something different as well. And, it was a direct value share. Like there's been over $1 million USD that's been given to the community through that. And I think that's really important because, Web3 is about value share, right? And that's a unique edge that like Web3 companies have over, Web2. You can do that with a blockchain. Right?
Is it temporary, you think? Like, how long do you think that can last as far as like, like how long can a company stay afloat if a lot of the stuff that they're doing is value-based, trying to bring back value when it's difficult, especially like right in a bear market? I think every project basically has lost as far as like volume, just not as much volume being traded because there's not as many people here in NFTs right now. Like how long, and then like what are like Lazy Lions doing to prepare for that? Because at some point, a lot of these projects are like, shit, we don't have royalties coming in. What do we do? Because we can't continually give back without having some kind of inflow.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm happy to share with my thoughts on the, the whole royalty topic that's going on right now. But
oh shit, yeah. I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, man. But look, that brings up a good topic of, like alternative revenue streams as well, and it sort of ties in with the royalties. I don't think there's anything wrong at all with creators wanting to rely on royalties, because in reality, some of these NFT collections are just going to remain as collectibles, and that's fine, right? Like that, creators can do what creators want. Like you shouldn't force artists or creators projects or, anyone else who's decided to do an NFT project that's up to their own free will, right? And people will either buy it or they won't. It's as simple as that, really. But some will remain as collectibles. Some will evolve into, like you mentioned, the obvious thing is brands and IP as well. That's one obvious track. Another one is gaming, and some will move into businesses that I think will surprise a lot of people as well. But I think that's the eventual case for a lot of these projects.
Yeah. And so with I know a lot of the people are talking about, I think it was Zen Academy or Zen something on Twitter. He made a YouTube video talking about the royalties and how he thinks that, which it was actually similar to my opinion. I was like, I don't know how much it'll affect these the smaller collections, the smaller artists, one of one artists and stuff like that. But for bigger projects, especially projects that have done like bigger collections plus another secondary collection and maybe a tertiary collection, just because it's like more of an entity, you know, versus like buying from an artist. So what are your, like, I know you said you said you didn't have a problem with it, but like what are you thinking is gonna happen actually? Because some marketplaces are going to use that as leverage and say, we don't offer this, so you guys should come use us. And we're already seeing that from other like secondary marketplaces, you know?
Yeah, I think the reality is you just got to look at the facts right now. There's no one in the space that has a significant alternative revenue stream besides royalties and new NFT collections. Right? Like that's just the cold hard facts. No one has that alternative revenue stream. So considering the fact that it is still early as well, like we have to step back a little bit and go that, you know, these projects obviously require capital to build out something that is meaningful, right? Like that's the reality that we're in right now. But the alternative part to that is, you know, like people are free to create their own NFT projects and set their own royalties, right? And I think we should respect the royalties that are set by creators. And if you don't want to respect the royalties, then you shouldn't buy the collection. I think that, you know, it's as simple as that, really. You know, there's an argument that's, you know, artists deserve it and, you know, maybe NFT projects don't, you know, seen that argument come up. I think it's weird for anyone to say that this person deserves royalties and that person doesn't deserve royalties. And like, that just feels inherently wrong. Yeah, I've been asked that question about, you know, does this project deserve to be at this ETH? And does that deserve to be at that ETH? Well, it's like whatever the market will pay for it, right? Like, you know, that's not anyone's point to say this or that. And same thing with the royalties. Like whatever the creators want to set their royalties as, I think we should just respect that.
True. So tell me, how much have you guys changed, like a day in life? How much has that changed since the very beginning when you guys launched in the summer versus now? Because I imagine it was super busy back then, just because you like had to get your shit together and just keep up every single day. And now it's a little bit of a different style, you know, day to day.
It's a bit different. I'd say like overall still the same amount of hours, but you're right. Like there was that massive, you know, especially at the beginning, it was like a massive rush.
Yeah.
But you know, you put time into different things now, right? There's a lot more. You've got a bit more time to actually, you know, plan out things a bit more, I think. And you know, we're at a stage right now where obviously we've got these like discussions going on, and that takes a bit of time to, you know, brainstorm and just go, okay, like here are all the different like routes and, you know, what makes the most sense and what are people doing. So, you know, it's good to have that time a bit and be able to focus on that, which is equally as important as just doing things.
Yeah. It definitely. Well, it's also, we just finally have some experience under our belt. I remember in the fall, we were just like, we literally don't have anything to look at. Like if something went wrong, well, I remember in the very beginning when I was first buying NFTs, I like had my MetaMask and it had a problem and I like didn't know what to do. And like nobody could help me at that point. Like no one knew shit back then. It was so weird. Like if you had a question, you're like, someone in Discord helped me. And like if someone didn't know, you're like, okay, well, damn, that's too bad. Like no one, like there's so much content out there now. And the landscape has changed so much. And it's like almost like before a new meta happens, like everyone like picks it apart before it happens and it like reverses itself. And it's crazy seeing this kind of market. But there was a specific question I had in there that I completely rambled and went into a different direction. But what do you been most surprised by, I guess, from this NFT market in the last couple of months?
It's a good question. I think overall with the NFT space, you know, a lot of it, I don't know if a lot of it actually was surprising, but one thing that did surprise me was, you know, how long projects were just minting out for, right? Especially, you know, projects that I think were obvious cash grabs. You know, that went on for, I think, longer than I thought it would. And I'm not sure of like the ramifications for that, you know, except the obvious oversupply. And some people, you know, may or may not be burnt from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that surprised me. But what about you, man?
Oh shit. Man, I don't know. I was actually surprised with some of the projects that I would consider like in the mid tier of how low they got. I just didn't know. Like we never really knew. And I guess I feel like a lot of even like creators and YouTubers maybe thought we had like one or two big pumps left, and then we we maybe not misinterpreted, underestimated like how much the recession would hit, because a lot of people in the crypto land were like, you know what, like it doesn't matter that much about USD. Like even if they have a recession, we have our own little market, and like NFTs are always here, and gaming are resistant to bear markets. And we found out that like we all got fucking drowned out with everybody else. And I don't know, it was just interesting seeing like the blood in the streets. We all knew it was kind of coming, but it's different to like see it happen and like watch floors and projects crumble to dust. Watch projects like, I don't know if you knew, but like Winter Bears just rugged. Like I just found out the other day. Did you even? I mean, I don't know if you know that project, but it's just like OG projects. Like I'm like, holy shit, they disappeared. And I guess it's just been surprising. It was just more like living through it and seeing this all happen in front of me.
Yeah, I mean, rug is never good, right? And
Yeah.
like my heart goes out to like obviously the people like involved, but like even the founders, because it's like it's such a bad choice. Like don't obviously like there's one thing about the whole legal thing and whether or not it's right, but just don't mislead or like deceive people rather. But yeah, man, like that surprised me as well, like how long that's just been going on for. Did not think it was on for that long.
Did you were you a bit of a degen in the beginning, or are you still maybe a degen? You don't tell anybody?
So I wasn't a crypto trader, right? Like I think it was just the finance side. It didn't really
okay.
I'm more of a programmer, gamer kind of guy, business kind of guy. So I don't know, like the finance, that side specifically, didn't really appeal to me as much. So I didn't trade as much.
Damn, that's wild. So you were like immune to it, like all the pressures. It's like you're like walking around. You're like that one dude who's like not interested on the girls, so you don't think with that part of your body. You're able to like focus on success and doing all these other things because you're not out here chasing other stuff. That's hilarious, dude. That's like a hidden power in this NFT market. Actually, has that also transcended to like your own project? Like since you don't have a trading mentality, do you think that's like helped or hurt the way you've run the project? Because some people would say maybe like, if you're a person who's married and you make a dating app, for example, then you don't know exactly what to do because you're not dating. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting question. I mean, like, obviously, like we're still around, and they're like, as the results and everything speak for themselves. But yeah, I guess I'm a bit loyal like that. I'm diamond-handed, man. Every NFT that I buy, I still got my first NFT, that little Forgotten Runes guy.
Wait, which one did you get?
I got Forgotten Runes. I mean, of course, right? Like, just
that's awesome. That's awesome. Let's go, dude. Yeah. Oh, guys, if you're in the chat right now, drop what your first NFT was. That would be really interesting to me to see what answers we get. Because I'm sure some people came in last week. Some people came in 6 months ago. Some people came in 12 months ago. I think it's insane when people tell me about like, tell me again when you got in, like what month?
Yeah, that'd be an interesting question. Which one was, what was your first NFT?
Mine was Evaverse. It was a gaming project that I still fuck with. They partnered with Dogecoin actually. They're one of my big calls. I remember I was calling them out when they're really, really cheap. And then when they partnered up with them, they had a big ramp up. And I was like, I fucking told all of you. I told all of you. But that was my first NFT. John Wynn says he's in here since November. And then Ashur, when did you say you got in again?
So we were looking in NFTs beginning of 21. It was like Feb, March.
Okay. So you watched all that shit happen. Did you happen to like hear stuff about Bored Apes? I know you said CryptoPunks a little bit, and then Bored Apes a little later on. But were you like around and aware when they were kind of getting started in the very beginning?
Was aware of CryptoPunks, but yeah, like didn't grab one because at that time I think it was still like a significant amount of ETH, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So yeah, we didn't jump on that, but yeah, did see all of that craze happening and Bored Apes jumping up in the news and all that kind of stuff.
Did you do like the standard get in, do like 22 hours straight of research, and then wake up and do it again for the next 3 weeks? Like, was that your in, or did you kind of slowly taper it in?
Well, dude, I came from the programming side, right? And I was like, I'm just going to code this thing myself. So like I jumped into like all the technical docs. Like I was looking at Solidity and OpenSea's Bible on like NFTs. Was a really good resource. It was just like, because like there was no like, hey, like go do this to go create the project, right? So it's like, okay, we just got to go research everything. And
did you study that, or like in school?
Yeah, so I studied computer science and business in uni.
Damn, dude, that's
and like I'm not. I've done enough programming to know like where my limits are because I'm more of like I'm more on the business side for sure, but I know enough about programming to I guess be a little bit dangerous.
Dude, coding and fucking all that stuff is respect to you because I tried that so hard. to do coding, and my dad's like a computer whiz. He works in Silicon Valley, and I was like, you know what? if I can just fucking graduate, if I can just graduate and know some computer science, I'm like in this world. And because he's got all these connections, I was like, this is gonna be sick. And I got in 1 year. I was like 3 months in, and I realized this is not for me. This shit is hard, dude. Like, I swear, like my brain is not hardwired that way. People, like, my friends were in there. He's like, oh yeah, obviously you use this command next, and then like it goes to this line, and I'm sitting there, and it's just like looks like hieroglyphs, dude. Did it come naturally to you?
Man, I think I studied it like because I studied at an early age, because this was like when I was 12 when I first got into it, and I was just like super motivated. I get like that with things, right? I just get like super motivated and just like very determined on things. So, I just printed out, I remember like 100, 200 pages and of like, it was Pascal was the first programming language. I'm getting a bit nerdy here.
Oh my
And
God.
I just like read everything about variables. Like actually, like, I think I'm one of the only dudes to like read it off like an actual doc rather than like start off just by programming and like watching videos. But man, I think they should teach that stuff at school, and I think they are starting to teach it at schools. It's definitely like it's important to. I think it's an important skill because it allows you to understand when you're dealing with like computers and phones and whatever the hell it may be, like how they're all communicating with each other. But I guess
Did you
it sounds
always
a bit think about it.
did you always imagine you would use it like when you were learning coding? Were you like this there's a way I could use it and it looks like this, or were you kind of just like, I like coding and I can figure something else out?
I think it was a bit of both. Because like the entrepreneur in me, I think always knew like tech side makes sense. If I the business side, learn those two things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I mean, the coding world, there's tons of opportunities there. Which language would you say? It looks like a couple people in here said they want to learn some, or they need to learn some programming. Where do you think they should start?
Dude, I started off with a really really basic one. A really old one, not basic actually. The more basic ones are actually easier. A really old language called Pascal. There's like a lot of writing in that one, more than you probably need to. But I feel like that was actually a good one to learn from because it's like an old one, and then everything else after that makes it a bit quicker. But then you understand like where the time saving comes into it. So that Java, I think JavaScript is like one of the main ones, obviously, but it's
How about for NFTs? Like specifically, if someone's like, I want to work in blockchain and NFTs and Web3 and stuff, where should they start? Should they just start the same way, just like learn the basics and then kind of work their way up?
I don't think you necessarily need to know programming to understand, blockchain and everything like that. I think that's probably a bit too much for most people. It's a bit overkill. I think
even to work on a team.
To work on the what? Sorry.
If you want to like work on a team, you think it's not as necessary? I was just saying more for like people who want to get involved, like working in the Web3 world. It might just be like an extra skill to have.
I think it makes you more dangerous, if you can understand it and you know what you're talking about. But I don't believe you need to be like a full-on programmer. You just need to understand how the blockchain works. I think if you're, running an NFT project and you don't understand how the blockchain works, there's something that feels inherently wrong about that. And I just can't imagine myself like, I think we would have struggled quite a bit. I think you got to have one person who at least understands it, right?
I'm trying to think of all the NFT projects with founders. I have no idea, but there's probably like 10 in here right now thinking, fuck. Oh shit, that's funny. Ark gonna reply, I'm the same as kid. Try programming in college. Decided I'm a computer operator. Yeah, well, honestly, it's good. Like, I'm glad I tried it because otherwise I literally would be thinking, what if? And I'm really glad. That's like one of my best. That's like one of the things that Gary Vee has really stamped in me. He's like, if you really want to know, he's like, just literally go try it and see, because it might work. It probably won't. Let's be honest. Like, unless you have like a core. Like for me, I've always, I would try things, and sometimes I knew it wasn't going to work, but I just needed to like confirm. I was like, this is not going to work, right? And I would try it out. I'm glad I did computer science there. Then I did nursing. Then I did like public health. I ended up not even using it. Now I'm making YouTube videos and talking about JPEGs and stuff like that. So like, you literally never know where you're going to end up. You don't know who you're going to meet. Like, I met the most random people. Like, did you go to NFT NYC?
I did.
You did? What'd you think about it?
Man, I thought there were so many people. It was weird.
There was.
Yeah, I thought it was a really, really good turnout. And a lot of people who aren't necessarily in the Web3 space already. I think that's a good thing. We're bringing on people on mainstream to jump on. So, I thought it was pretty cool. Did you go crazy? Did you do a little partying? We had an event for Lazy Line. Man, I was, we had like events back to back to back. And like by the end of the day, I was just like puffed out most of the night. So, there was nothing too crazy like overnights. But yeah, we had a Lazy Lions event. think we had like 400 people show up, which
Jesus
was really
Christ.
cool. Yeah, which was really, really cool. And the Puma event, I think that, it started in the morning, I believe, and because of how much demand there was, like we ended up going into the next day, and like,
Damn.
unfortunately, some people I think even missed out. It was just, that's how crazy the wait times ended up being. And, it was cool to just take photos with everyone, people that you've interacted with online this whole past year and actually get to see everyone. That's one of the coolest parts, I think. So
Yeah, it's legendary.
a lot of
How
fun.
much did it change at all? Like, what was the biggest difference from 2021 New York or NFT NYC and then this one? Because I feel like I remember. Don't quote me on this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like I remember the 2021 was a bit smaller. I know that there was at least someone I knew that was Lazy Lion went to like a small meetup, but I didn't know if you guys threw like a crazy big event or if you guys were just kind of getting started or what it was.
And so we were, because we're based in Oz, right? Like our, founding team was in lockdown. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, man. And it's wild because I think most people underappreciate how much effort goes into like running an event like this and setting
Mhm.
it up and coordinating it. And I remember some calls, like pretty angrily calls about, damn, you should be in NFT NYC right now. It's like, tell the government that, I'd love to be there right now. But yeah, man, no, we missed out. Did you get to go?
I didn't go to that 2021. I went this past year, a few months ago, and I had a great time. I had a great time because I was with exactly like you said, just met people that I've been talking to online for so long. It was like it was like my first expo. Like I don't know if you know this, but like fitness YouTuber people have this expo every year at the Arnold and like a couple other places. And it was this place where all like the YouTubers would just be at these booths that they're sponsored by, and like all their fans would just be there, like walking around and go meet them and take photos and stuff. So I'd never experienced anything like that. I always wanted to go to that. And so with NFT NYC came along, I wasn't sure what to expect. I just knew that all the YouTubers were going to go and all my friends who were making TikTok videos, all the project founders I'd done podcasts with. And I was like, I got to go. And I went. I had so much fun. I met so many people that I had been talking to online. And I'm just definitely interested to see people in the chat. If any of you guys went to NFT NYC, if you were at that crazy 400 person party, like what kind of party was it? Was it like a lounge? Was it a crazy rave or?
Yeah, we had a lounge. So it was a bit of both. People ended up just dancing anyways and having a great time. But, people were chilling out and, some were taking photos and, I think pretty much everybody was, having some kind of drink. But
You got a favorite drink?
Sorry?
You got a favorite drink?
Gin and tonic.
Gin and tonic's your favorite drink? No way.
Man, I'm a G&T kind of guy. What about
Gin
you?
and tonic. Well, I was just saying that was just cool because gin and tonic and then tequila and tonic were like my two first drinks ever because they were in a show that I like called Lost, which is actually I'm pretty sure was shot in Australia or Hawaii, maybe actually. But a lot of it was based actually in Sydney. And that show, the girl, like the hot girl in the show, always drank tequila and tonic. So I like in high school I wanted to drink that. But right now I feel like tequila still is my drink. I'm trying to get into scotch. I don't know what it is. Like I think maybe like movies when I was a kid influenced me, and it's like rich, successful people like scotch. And so in my head, I'm like, maybe I should try scotch. See if that tastes good. It tastes like shit.
Probably an acquired taste, eh?
Yeah, it must be. It must be. That's hilarious. Okay, guys. If you have any questions in the chat, I'd love for you guys to throw them in there or put them on Twitter if you guys have any questions. If you're watching this on Twitter, I definitely want to get to as many questions just because we have like an hour, so I just want to get as much value for you guys. Don't ask any like weird questions, like anything like too specific or whatever. But Ashur, what are you most pumped about for Lazy Lions 2022 or 2023?
There are a couple things, right? I like that question. So there are a couple things. We've been super focused on obviously building out the community, right? And that hasn't that's one of those cool things for us that hasn't changed and will never change, right? I just can't see it. Like that's we started with the community, and what we evolve to will be based around providing more and more value back to the community. That's that ethos kickstarted rewards. It kickstarted the way we deal with the community. And, so I think whatever moving forward that, people see with Lazy Lions, it's always going to be community centric for us. So, that's one area. Overall with the NFT space, I've mentioned before gaming being one of those big trends, but like the reality with that as well is that's going to take time, right? That's not something that's going to happen, even in a year or something. And, I think we've seen some examples of, content being released earlier than it probably should have, and it really like hurts people's compared to like their expectations. So I think people definitely need to be open to things not living up to expectations in the first run. That's for sure. But man, like besides those two things, the IP as well. I think we've only scratched the surface of like what we can do with that, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody owns their IP. Like if you buy a Lazy Lion, you get the IP rights to that lion, right? And it's like, so you're almost able to like leverage the brand that has been built, with this massive community, and you can use it in all weird and wonderful ways, right? It's up to you. So I think that's something that we're just starting to scratch at now, and just continuing to build out the brand. We've got obviously a strong brand in Web3, but the question is, and I think the question for a lot of people is, how do you then move that to people outside of Web3 as well?
Yeah.
Right. I think the amount of people that moved into Web3 probably surprised people. I think people were probably expecting more entrance into the space, and that hasn't happened. And there was a lot of hopium for like certain catalysts which didn't come through.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen, but it's like how and when. That's the question. What role do these projects have to play in it as well? So I think those are all interesting parts. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, we literally have no idea. Like, not a single person who asked that question has any shred of an answer. I mean, it's like asking people at the very beginning of the .com boom, which companies are going to make it, why, and what they look like. Like, what's the UI going to look like of the app that they have? It's like there's literally no chance of us knowing. We just have literal, just basic ideas of what we saw in like Avatar and Ready Player One. We're like, it should look something like that, question mark, with a bunch of gray area and then a whole lot of just us filling in holes that we don't know. And so it's literally such an interesting idea. Like for me, what keeps the fire going is I'm just so curious of what it's going to look like in 10 years. I'm like, I have to be here. Like I've got to be here. And my voice has to mean something. I have to have some kind of position in this world that we're going to. And for me, it's just about being around. And I don't even know, like, yeah, exactly like you said with the Lazy Lines, just giving back some kind of value out and growing in the space. And with the value of the IP being one of the biggest and something that you guys have along with the support of the community, that is something you guys can leverage really well. Like one thing that I've been talking about for a long time, because in the fall of last year is one of the things I identified that was something that was potentially longevity focused, was like if a company like a Lazy Lions, maybe for example, partner us up with Red Bull or some kind of energy drink, then they can have a collaboration there. And I was like, there we have like inherent automatic utility because they're like partnered with another company and they can both bring each other value. They bring customers. And I don't know, I was thinking something like that. And it was similar with influencers and social media people partnering up with other companies as like a brand partnership. And that's what you guys did. You guys partnered with Puma, and you guys have a lot of cool shit going on. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's a really interesting perspective. There's a fucking question I had a second ago that was really good. Where was it? Oh yeah. Did you guys have any low points during this whole time with Lazy Lions? Or any points where you were like, fuck, like really, really down bad?
Yeah, I think like we've had like amazing ups, right? Like amazing highs, like unbelievable highs. And then yeah, like there've been some lows as well. But I don't know, like the way I see these things, like I'm always pretty level headed. Like I'm the type of guy where like when things are going, amazingly, like, even during like the mints, like, for me, like it was like when we minted out, it was like, okay, cool. Like sort of, that's, obviously a massive event that says a lot for the project, but it's like, okay, let's get going. Right.
Yeah.
So, I try to keep level headed when things are going really well. And because of the opposite as well, like when things aren't going too well, you can't get too sad. Right. And what I've especially found as well, and I sort of always knew this, is, just because, a certain crowd is saying one thing doesn't make it true, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like people will say things because of their own, emotions and things like that. And that's fine. Anyone can say what they want, but you just have to look at it objectively and just like, remember what you're building and, just keep moving ahead. So like overall, it's been pretty chill.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts? Cause like, we have all this shit going on in the news. Like I feel like I can't even keep up. Like I'm trying to make YouTube content, and then like another big thing popped up. Like we had Izu, their whole thing. Like a lot of people were screaming. Like kind of just to your point of people jumping to extremes. I feel like it's like inevitable. Like so one thing happens and everyone just piles on. And sometimes I wonder if anyone has their own opinion or if they're just going with whoever has the most likes on Twitter or like what their favorite influencer person tweeted, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll just roll with that. Like whatever they think, I just believe in that. Because we've seen Izu have that. We had a bunch of FUD breakout. Like one of the first times I would say that Volterra has been tested in that sense of like community going like, what the fuck? What about this? What about that? They're doing their thing. And then we just had Utes completely just like, I don't know if you know, if you heard about it, but like Utes and DGOS completely dethroned, essentially from Twitter and just like kicked off the platform. We have influencers being kicked off the platform. I don't know how much you're in that world, but I didn't know I was just curious if you had any thoughts on that whole shebang.
Yeah, man. Like I definitely keep track of all those things. I think with the first one, with like projects not minting out and things like that, it's just the reality of the market at the moment. We've seen that for months now, right? And so I don't think it's anything too surprising. It just goes back to it's just the market dynamics at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, true.
And with Twitter and stuff, that's a whole another topic, right? Because there's even things like verification and what gets involved. What's required there, but which is something we're experiencing too. So yeah, I mean that's why decentralization comes into play, right? So these kind of things can't happen as much. But man, I think Twitter's been an amazing tool at the same time. Right? Like it's been
well, plus it's all we got right now. There's no decentralized social media yet.
Yeah. I mean, there's like attempts at it at the moment, but obviously everyone's still using Twitter too. So I think everybody definitely owes something to Twitter. We can't just turn our back to it as well.
That's true. That's a good point. Do any of your friends, they on Twitter? I feel like nobody was on Twitter before NFTs. Like, do any of your friends do NFTs who are not in this world?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
no?
I use probably like most people. I used Twitter a long time ago as well. In the eventual wave, and then Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But I've never been too heavy on like social media. So, it's more out of, it just wasn't that type of person.
You said you were a gamer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you big into like Reddit? What's it called? Like 4chan, like stuff like that, like the online communities early on too? And like the what's it called? Like the rooms where you're in, it's like, I don't even know, like the first person shooter games, you're in these lobbies and shit.
Yeah, man. So 4chan, not really, or not at all. Reddit, I use like definitely a lot for just finding out about things and getting information. I thought that was a cool tool. But online forums, especially like when I was younger as well, I think that's where I learned a lot about community and like community, like dealing with different opinions as well. Because this was back when I was 12, learning to program.
Oh shit! Okay.
It was an online forum. Yeah, it was a coding community, and then like they were programming, but like they weren't doing it necessarily for the game or like just gaining value from the game or anything. They were doing it more for the love of programming. And so like it was pretty beautiful what they were trying to build. But the way everybody just like communicate with each other, and you get different opinions because you're dealing online with people all around the world, and you got to remember that like this is like a new thing, right? Like the internet's only been around for so long. NFTs, forums, social media, it hasn't been around for a crazy long time. So these like new dynamics of like interacting with people all across the world instantly, different opinions, because everyone's got, people have different values and, come from all different walks of life. It's interesting. And I think there's a lot of negatives to it as well, potentially. If you're not used to people saying things online and you take every single thing to heart, that could be a lot of damage. But otherwise, it's like a great way to like listen to what people are saying, right? And if you can objectively just listen to what people are saying and then take the good bits, I think there's a ton of value there.
Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, we have a great question here from WizPost. If I can pull it up. Here we go. Great question here. How do project founders and teams find a middle ground between not overhyping or showing all the cars at once, but also keeping their community informed on what's to be expected next, what's happening with the project, or its long-form direction? And then it seems too much in either direction presents its own set of drawbacks. That's a good point.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that one?
Man, that one's tough, because you do want to, I don't know. I feel like the Bored Ape Yacht Club did this one where they just say, fuck it. Like so their famous thing, they say, fuck it. And they drop some big announcement. And I don't know. I feel like that can work like a couple times, and then after a while, it just gets kind of old, and it just like anything, kind of just fades. So I think what more people are interested in is a little bit more transparency. Like there are people running projects right now who are deemed as successful because their floor is high, who have no clue what they're doing. They just got lucky. And there's other people who are very qualified, maybe their project isn't doing as successful. And part of that could just be due to marketing. Part of it could be due to transparency. Like there are YouTubers out there who they're filming on their iPhone. There's no structure to their videos. There's no real value, but people just like them. So they have 1 million followers, they have 1 million subscribers. There's another guy who has all this value, but he doesn't properly know how to package it the correct way. And so all this value is kind of going to nothing because he's not delivering it the right way. And I think delivery is really important, delivery with communication. So I do think like you tell them enough that they need to know. And then information that's not specifically like necessary for them to know, then it's like, well, like we can just tell them in a couple days or tell them next week. Like if it doesn't hurt, then that's the way I think you can kind of drag them along in that sense where it's actually fun, not something where you're being a dickhead. But if it's fun, that's what I think about it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a fair point. Yeah, I agree. I think you definitely have to be transparent, right? Like to a level of things, but it's what we found is, not talking about things until they're ready. I think that's like one of the key things.
Yeah.
Because things happen, right? Especially when you're dealing with like third parties and things.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You try and obviously avoid as much as possible, but sometimes it's necessary. Things take time, plans change. It's a new space, so like you're pioneering and like figuring out things as you go. No one in the space has it all figured out, right? Obviously. So it's like there's a bunch of trial and error, and I think like the best approach with that is to just don't speak about things until they're ready. Yeah.
And honestly, there's tons of different ways, tons of different communities put it a different way. And sometimes it's a fucking DAO, so everyone knows exactly what's next. So it really depends on the vibe. And yeah, so when you're dealing with big entities, it is hard to know. Plus, you might get sued if you say the wrong thing, right? So it is a bit scary. But yeah, dude, working with third parties, my God, it's like the whole game of hurry up and wait. You're just like let's roll, let's do this shit. Like I'm ready to go. And like 6 weeks later, they're like, oh yeah, let's hit on that thing. And you're like, oh my God. So I'm definitely no stranger to that. So, I was about to ask something, but Alex has a question here. I don't know if you are liberty to talk about this, but as far as where the game is at currently for development.
Yeah, so that and like with the rest of the roadmap, we had a really good conversation with our community, really like transparent conversation, about a month or two ago, and I got a ton of feedback. I gave out my email and I was just like, anyone from the community wants to just give their thoughts on where things are at. You can always just hit me up directly, and like thankfully, which was really cool to see, like a ton of people did. Right. So I spent quite a bit of time going through everyone's emails, shared thoughts with the team as well. That was a big thing that we did, took up quite a bit of time, but it was well worth it. And, we had a lot of feedback about things, on the roadmap as well. And, because it's a delicate balance, right? Because people want to see value now. Right. And it's like, I understand that because, some things that take time, it's always a trade-off, right? And it's like, how much focus and attention and resources is that thing going to take? And, what's the risk compared to other things? So, that along with the rest of the roadmap, something that we're currently, we're reviewing it. And, we've got some value points that I think we need to stick to, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can't focus too much on the future because, there are things that need to be happening today as well. And, how's the space at the moment and what are the main challenges for the space and what needs to be addressed, which are, as we've seen, we just spoke about before, there are constantly new challenges coming across, right? Like with the royalties and things like that. So you got to have that kind of realism set in as well. So
100%.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the like overall roadmap.
Yeah. And that's why the core identity behind the project is so important. You've got to have something that keeps people wanting to be in Lazy Lions Discord, that keeps people wanting to have Lazy Lions as their profile picture. There's got to be something, a lot of projects don't have that single identity where people fuck with that. And so when the market gets tough, when, they need some money, they're like, all right, fuck it, I'm out. Or they just FUD and they get angry. And so that's where that stuff really, really matters. What was, I want to transition a little bit into, for you, life right before Lazy Lions, like for you 6 months prior to beginning Lazy Lions venture, what were you doing every day? Like what did Monday look like for you before any of this stuff?
I was a massive, well, I guess I am, like, I'm a massive workaholic. And to be honest, I think that's always been true. Like, even when I was at, Burger King flipping burgers.
You're like, come on, motherfucker, let's go. 25
Yeah,
burgers, 30 burgers.
What? I had to figure out my own way to, uni and everything. Great childhood, but, yeah. So 6 months before that, I was just a massive workaholic. It was still a little bit of COVID. Obviously, we had the lockdown, go in and out. So I was just like a 7 to like 8 kind of guy, like 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. But I loved it, man. I loved that job, and like the people I was working with as well. Like, it was a great time. They reward us, quite fairly as well. Worked for an American software company. I think I just hit President's Club as well.
Hey.
Just like when you hit like your big targets and stuff as well. So like, things were pretty good. And they were before I left as well. I was having an amazing time there, but this is just, it's just more important to me. Yeah.
Well, a lot, especially a lot of younger people, they work so hard to get to like a place, like I'm sure that you were at, where you're like, yo, this is pretty sweet, actually. Like, I got a decent setup, good job, have fun, everything's good. And then some people are like, yeah, but then, like, I talked to a guy named Mark yesterday, and he was, I hit that point where I was like, okay, I got my Jeep, I got like a nice house, my job's pretty good, and I'm kind of bored. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of bored. And he's like a workaholic like you, and he was like, fuck. And so that's when NFTs came at the perfect time. He basically said, and he was like, here we go. Like, this is it. Now I can like kind of have some risk here. Like, for you, was this like a massive risk when you did it? Were you kind of like licking your lips like, yo, here we fucking go. This is something crazy. This is something new. A lot of people are talking shit about it, but I'm going to jump into it.
Pretty much, man. Like with what you were just saying, it's just it comes from like wanting to achieve more, I think, which is like the big thing, right? Like, and that kind of hunger, I've like sort of always had that. And, I feel like that, it's funny. I think the community also represents those values as well. And when you really think about it, I think it just comes down to the fact that we're all fucking lions, right? Like, we're all lions, man. Like, that's, those are the values of a lion, right? You just want to keep achieving more and more, strive for greatness, obviously, like you're at the apex. So, coincidentally, I feel like that's what the community represents as well. Yeah,
definitely. And my brand, for people who don't know, is Joyage. That's like the logo that you see everywhere, all over my shit, which is it's a similar brand. It's just like going after your dreams, rolling the dice on you, going on like a voyage of life filled hopefully with joy. And you have a good time, you meet people, and you do crazy shit that you weren't expecting. Because it's one of those things, like, unless you roll out of bed and go do something, then the reality is you're never going to have anything different. You're just going to have the same shit over and over again. To have a brand that's centered around something that not just a community of like a lot of people can kind of fuck with this, the idea of like, we're fucking lions, is something that's also important to you. So it makes it so easy for you. And oh, holy shit, just to interrupt my own stream of thought just now, someone just dropped 99 ETH on a 1-of-1 lazy line. Wait, just now?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to confirm this.
Yeah, I think let's confirm that. But somebody has, that's the record for a 1-of-1, and there've been quite a few big sales as well, which is always really cool to see. But
when did this happen? I'm looking at the activity right now. I don't see a. Hold on, 99 ETH on a 1-of-1 lazy line. Let me know, Dokuso. Prove yourself. Oh, all-time high historical. Okay, never mind. Oh, okay. That makes sense then. I heard you wrong then. That's crazy, though. Jesus Christ. That is wild. That is wild. 99 ETH. Yeah. Okay, what was the 1-of-1? Like, what did it have on it? I want to see what it looks like. Like, was it?
It was one of the younger lines. So, it was a 1-of-1, custom made, not generative. So. Damn,
dude. That's crazy.
And, man, it's pretty cool, especially when you look at the stats as well. Like, when you take a step back, I mentioned this on like socials before, but even the 30,000 ETH trade volume, like, that's something I think everybody in the community should be super proud of as well. It says a lot about the project. Top 58 all time, and it's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah, that is freaking crazy. So look, I want to jump into some, like, what's it called? Like rapid fire Q&A stuff. Are you down for that?
Let's go for it.
Let's do it. And guys, if you have any questions, drop them in there too. If there's something random you want to know, we're going to ask some random questions. First one, I'd love to ask this question, and it just became a thing that I asked actually in the last couple of podcasts. Do you have any weird conspiracies that you think are true, or like unpopular opinions that you're like, nah, this is it?
Yeah, we're all in the matrix.
Yeah, we got to be, bro. In what way do you think?
No, look, I don't know if I'm super serious about that at all, but it sounds pretty cool. Eh? Maybe it's a nice one to say because I come from the programming background. But no,
True.
what about you? Any of those?
Dude, I mean, honestly, The Matrix is probably one. Like seeing that movie was pretty wild. Like stuff like that, like movies like Interstellar, movies like Inception, movies where you like weird, really weird concepts of sci-fi get introduced, and then you like will hear Neil deGrasse Tyson or some physicist, astrophysicist talk about stuff, and you're like, wait, like that kind of stuff's low-key kind of possible. And I don't know. I mean, honestly, I could go down a whole thing. Yeah, Andres is right. I see him in the chat with the mushroom emoji. Yeah, it's definitely a question I'll ask on my next trip. Oh my god, I don't even know what conspiracy. I heard one about a hollow moon, or maybe it was hollow Earth. I don't know, hollow something. One of the planets or moons is hollow, and I thought that could be true. Like I saw some weird information, like they like rang something against the surface, and it rang like a drum or rang like a bell or something like that. And apparently, like NASA confirmed it. I don't know. That's my thoughts. I think potentially the moon is it's like not real or something's weird with it. That's my big one. But
yeah, it's an interesting one. I've seen.
Okay.
Those. Yeah.
Here we go. Favorite? Do you have a tattoo or any tattoos?
No tattoos.
No tattoos. Are you gonna get one? No lazy lion tattoos? No claw on the arm or something?
I'm not a big tattoo guy. Yeah,
True. True. Right on. How about do you travel a lot? Do you want to travel?
Man, I think I feel like most people, right? Like with COVID and everything, but the main thing for me is just being focused on this, right? Like this is what I enjoy. So
yeah,
like, that's sort of like, yeah.
Hell yeah. What actually, I was gonna ask your day in life earlier, and I think we actually talked about it. But like, what did life look like for quarantine for you? Like, how locked down were you guys? I heard some shitty stories from Australia, but I don't actually know because I wasn't there.
I mean, we were deep in lockdown.
Like what? Like you like? Could you open the door and walk outside? Like I heard people were getting attacked on the sidewalk, kind of thing, if they were outside.
It wasn't too bad for like where I was at. Like you were able to go for walks and stuff like that. But yeah, no, like you definitely couldn't go out or anything like that. It was for like a couple months. I think overall, like from like June, July until like almost November, I think we were in lockdown, which like happened to be when we were, the beginning stages of Lazy Lion. So it worked out pretty well.
True. Yeah, I was going to say. Dokusa got a question. How long did it take for the Lazy Lions to mint out?
I believe it was like 5 or 6 hours, or maybe just under 5 hours. It was something around there.
Damn, dude, that must have been fucking scary. What was mint day like?
Well, I hadn't slept for like a week, I think, or maybe like maybe like a couple hours.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was just a lot of testing and making sure things didn't break. Because I was like running the projects mainly from like the coding side and everything. So I was just testing everything out, and it worked out flawlessly. So it was well worth it. I mean, to an extent, there was something with the contract, but like overall, it worked out well. I shouldn't say flawlessly.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that's a lot of pressure though, because you're the guy, you're like a co-founder, and then you're also like, yo, I'm doing like a lot of this behind the scenes stuff too. So it's like my fault if this goes wrong.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But yeah, man, that's how it was.
Hell yeah, right on. But do you have any big life challenges? I know we talked about some of the things like the NFT space. Do you have any like life challenges that tug on you that are like maybe? Do you have any defining moments that you remember, or it's just kind of like a conglomerate?
I think it's been like one big thing. Like I'm super grateful for like, being raised in Australia as well. My parents were like immigrating from Syria as well, and like they were, they had been to uni and they had like proper careers and everything, and then from moving over in your 30s and having to start from scratch, and you got a family, you're growing up on welfare and like public housing and stuff. But like, I think for everything that they did, and we still had an amazing childhood. And, I think I've always just taken that with me. I'm like still like a frugal kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I think those things don't change. And I think it's just like taught me to be like resourceful as well. Right. Which I think has worked out really well. And so, yeah, I think it's just a bunch of things for me.
Yeah. True. That's fucking dope, dude. Yeah. I have a, like my Joyage, like I was saying for my brand, or that came from like a year ago. I was traveling in my car, living and doing photographs and stuff like that. And I was just going all these places, and Yeah, I kind of learned the same thing. Just kind of like when you really struggle mentally and also just like financially, I was fucking broke. I had like nothing with me. If I popped a tire, it was kind of like, that's not good. That is really not good. You know, I was living in the car. I didn't have that much money, so if I had a car problem, I'm kind of screwed. I'm stranded. Like there's days where I would hang out for like 12 to 14 hours at a Barnes and Noble. There's periods where I wouldn't be able to buy food because I'm like I literally don't have money to buy any food. And you really do become resourceful. Like you somehow, like I made it. Like I'm here in an apartment in Seattle, so like somehow I made it out. And I don't even remember like how. I just remember like how intense it was. Do you have any like from those days in your childhood? Were they tough? Like, is that why you jumped into the video game world? Like, I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends who are in the video game world, they did it as kind of like a form of, I don't know, to like escape. You know?
Yeah, man. I mean, a nice one, dude. Because you're definitely right about all that, right? Like it teaches you a lot. Um, Man, it's interesting because I think we just grew up in that. Like we grew up in what was, I think, officially like Australia's like drug capital, right? Like where we grew up.
Oh
I think the street had like the biggest
shit!
like bus, like our street. I remember like all the cops and everything that time, but like, man, it just felt normal. Like that was childhood. And like I
Yeah,
said, I think my, you know, like it felt like a really good childhood for me. So I didn't notice anything too different. I think it was once I went to, uni, it was like, okay, so it wasn't like that for everybody.
yeah. Were you in uni? Were you like were you shy? Like, do you talk to people if you walk into like a random new class? Or you like going to walk up to the first person that you see, or are you like, let me hang out here in the back?
Man, I was focused on different things. Like, I was obviously a massive gamer like throughout high school, but then uni changed it a bit and I got focused on other things. But
Mm,
um I feel like I'm pretty outgoing, like, but otherwise I can be pretty reserved. Like if I'm
mm,
not, if that's not my kind of zone, I'll just be like pretty reserved. But
yeah,
yeah.
true. Right on. What's your favorite food chain?
My favorite what, sorry?
Your favorite food chain?
Man, it's gotta be Burger King, right? I mean that's
I
where
was gonna ask, bro. I was like, there's no way he's gonna say Burger King.
dude, I can't disrespect them. Um
Oh shit. Oh my
that's for
god,
sure.
dude. Burger King used to have these things. They were like fries, but they had cheese or something, some kind of seasoning. Like they were like cheese fries or something. I don't know if someone in the comments got one of y'all got to know this. They used to have this like 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, and you shake them up in the bag and then you would eat it and it was fucking amazing. I don't know if you remember that, but Burger King has like a soft spot in my heart for that reason.
Oh, dude, I remember exactly what you're talking about. The
Let's
shake
fucking
fries.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, do you have any near death experiences, like actual near death, where you were 2 seconds away and you would have died if you were 1 inch to the left, kind of thing?
Man, nothing like that, I guess, thankfully. Uh,
It's probably good. It's probably good.
yeah.
Right on. All right. One of my last questions here. Oh wait, I see one over here about lazy lions. We kind of hit on this a little bit, but if there's anything like we left out, maybe like what are the most difficult parts of the roadmap and things you had to do to get some of those results?
Yeah. By the way, just with the Burger King thing, I should probably, put some respect on their name. It's called Hungry Jacks Down Under. I don't know if you know that. It's,
I did not know
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Damn. Right on. Right on. Um, okay, yeah. So with Ricardo's question, was there any difficult parts? Like, well, or maybe just like talk about like the most difficult part of the roadmap or something that you had on there that you were like, oh, this should be no problem, and then you're like, oh, that's way harder than I thought.
Hmm. And like, because we're like still reviewing and evaluating it, right? And there are some things which, like, objectively, they don't seem as they would take that much time from like the
Mhm.
outside, I think. But it's like, you know, the big question we always ask ourselves is, what's the value return for the community, and what's the value return towards, obviously like Lazy Lions, the brand, and the project, right? And it's like, if there isn't value being created for those parties, you really got to question, like, even if it doesn't take too much time, like, what's the point? And the landscape changes, right? Like, what
Mhm.
could have provided value a couple months ago might not provide value right now. And, some feel irrelevant to where the brand is going as well. So, yeah,
True.
those are the questions that we ask ourselves.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, with the roadmap, it's more about the direction rather than like very specific milestones on like bullet points. I know some people care more about, I guess, the specific objectives, but I've kind of always looked at the roadmap more of like direction of where you guys are headed. So yeah, I think that's a solid answer. Okay, last question or two-part question. Do you have a big fear or like a weird irrational fear, spiders or something?
Dude, I had a massive fear of heights, but
Heights?
yeah, massive fear of heights growing up. But man, like, when you're with the boys and things, you just got to do things. So, like we all went for my mate's birthday. We went skydiving, and I
Oh,
wasn't going to be the guy who was going to pull out, so I just went ahead and did it.
Wait, you were scared of heights and you jumped out of a plane?
Yeah, you just got to do what you got to do. Right? I'm not going to be the guy who doesn't do it out of my mates. So,
damn, dude, legend.
Since then, it's sort of okay.
That's legendary. Fuck yeah. Okay, last question. Last question.
Plus,
do you have
the line? We prefer the ground, so.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Do you have any weird guilty pleasures, weird things that you do that people don't know about that they would probably judge you for, but now you don't give a fuck because you're the founder of Lazy Lions?
I think staying in theme with the whole Burger King, I'll say Whoppers. Having a good Whopper feels like I'm sponsored by them. Hey,
they're asking for it. I can see them in the chat. They want that. They want that partnership. That would be crazy.
There was no try to never give massive alpha and things like that. But I reckon after this, everyone's just gonna be on Twitter saying. So,
oh shit. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Guys, if you have any last second questions, you can throw them in if in the next 5 seconds. But other than that, I mean, I feel like we just crushed it. We just went through. I don't even know. We flew through so many topics. I feel like we had so many stories that we told. I had a fucking great time.
Same here, man. It's always fun. I love having the chat as well with the community and just having that live and interacting as well. I think that's really cool. Yeah,
hell yeah, man, 100%. I see Superman says Lions. It disappeared. Hold on, where'd it go? Oh, there we go. Lion plushies for the kids. That would actually be sick. That's something that's legitimate. That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I mean, it all goes back to tying in with the brand and what it means. And relevancy and stuff. It sounds cool.
Yeah, very cool. Sweet. All right, guys. Listen, if you made it to the very end, code word. You guys already know it's ROAR. Code word ROAR if you made it to the very end. If it's not your first episode of the Joyage Kingdom, OG, I want to see OG spam in the chat. Let's see what else. Yeah, if you guys haven't liked the video, click the like button for me. There's 25 of y'all in here. I'd love to see 25 likes. That'd be sick. Subscribe to the channel for more NFT content. I have his stuff down below in the description. If you want to check him out, if you want to follow me on Twitter, all that stuff is down below. Dude, do you want to shout anyone out while we're here? Last second?
The community, man, and kings, queens, thanks for jumping in as well. I actually really enjoyed this, like I mentioned, especially having the community chat right there and involving them. Really cool.
Well, that's the thing with Twitter Space. I would love to do Twitter Spaces if there was a chat, but there's is there a way to get around that? Do you know? Have you guys found anything?
Nah, not like this.
Yeah, I agree. Well, dude, this was fucking lit. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Until next time, continue on your Joyage, continue to learn, and be grateful you're alive watching this video.